we got to really talk about some really serious stuff regarding Shannon Sharpe. Yeah, accusations, civil lawsuit filed against him, suing him for $50 million. Um, champ, correct me if I'm wrong. He met the alleged accuser, Nick named Jane Doe. He met her at a gym, and she was like 19 to 20, and he was in his 50s at the time. She is accusing him of SA and also the R word. I won't use the term on the air. It's also been reported that he offered her $10 million, but she turned it down. Now, Shannon Sharpe, he released a statement saying that he is stepping down from ESPN. He said he will come back at some point in the beginning of the NFL preseason. Look, we don't know exactly all the details regarding this situation. So I don't want to say he's innocent or guilty. We got to wait and see how this plays out. But I will say is this: the timing of this is pretty interesting because remember, Shannon Sharpe was in the discussion for $100 million contract. And now all of a sudden this lawsuit is coming out. And also, too, there have been other accusations of him before, including one in which he choked a female assistant at Fox Sports and settled for $100,000, champ, if I'm not mistaken, according to Front Office Sports.
Yes.
Again, we don't know whether or not the accusations are true or not. We have to wait and see how this plays out. I will say this, though. For Shannon Sharpe, he should really look back at that interview he did with Monique on Club Shay Shay. All jokes aside, Monique was absolutely dead to the point. He should really deal with women his age. Shannon Sharpe is in his 50s. The woman is 19 or 20 years old, according to the lawsuit. Now, again, I mean, it's not illegal, but at the same time, it is definitely far from a stretch. And I think Monique made it clear he should deal with a woman his age, because this is just my opinion. I truly believe if Shannon Sharpe was with a woman his age, I don't think he would be dealing with these accusations. Again, I could be wrong because you never know. But what's the likelihood for Shannon Sharpe to dealing with accusations with someone his age compared to a 19 or a 20-year-old? And another person who has gotten a lot of flack and criticism is the mother of Jaden Daniels. Now, she has gotten a lot of flack because remember, Juju Watkins, Jaden Daniels, they were sitting next to each other during March Madness. Jaden Daniels' mother had to sit in between because, again, champ, you mentioned Juju Watkins at the time. She's 19. Jaden Daniels is 24. Again, nothing illegal, but at the same time, social media, they'll probably freak out. And then on top of that, I don't know if you saw this, champ. There was the video of Jaden Daniels' mother with Jaden Daniels at Brandon Ayuk's wedding. Mm-hmm. And some on social media may feel like, look, I understand he's your son, but at the same time, shouldn't you want him to live his life? Shouldn't you at some point say, hey, I got to at least let him live his life the way he wants to live it. I got to step back and allow my son to do his own thing. But at the same time, I can totally understand from a mother's standpoint, hey, you really got to be careful with the type of people that you're involved with. And again, Jaden Daniels hasn't even gotten his big time contract yet. So my thing is with Shannon Sharpe, I hope these accusations are not true. There's some audio clips in which Tony Busby has released. Now, for those who may not know, Tony Busby is the same attorney, the same lawyer who went against Deshaun Watson and also went against Jay-Z. And unfortunately for him, in his situation with Jay-Z, that situation was dropped And now Jay-Z is going after Tony Busby. So, and Tony Busby has released clips of Shannon Sharpe, in which one of the audio clips of Shannon Sharpe saying, "I'll choke the shit out of you." So again, and according to Shannon Sharpe, there's more to the video. If you're gonna show that part, show the entire thing. Shannon Sharpe and his attorney are accusing Tony Busby of leaving out context. So again, there's a lot of reports. We don't know whether Shannon Sharpe is innocent or guilty. We have to wait and see how this plays out. All we know, he is stepping down from ESPN. I think for him, it's not looking really good at this moment. Hopefully he gets his day in court. We'll see how that dresses. But the only person that has actually spoken out about it on ESPN is one Stephen A. Smith. And obviously Stephen A. Smith would have a lot to say because he has his own podcast. He was responsible for bringing Shannon Sharpe into ESPN. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But Champ, I'm going to let you go first. What are your thoughts regarding the whole Shannon Sharpe thing?
It's very unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate. Number one, I'm going to say this. Young man, if you are hit within the sound of my voice, I may not look the part, but I'm getting close to 40 years old. I look like I'm a kid, but I'm not. And if I could give any of y'all young men and old men advice, is when you're making a lot of money, now is not, look, I understand that when you're young and you are in your teens and in your early 20s, you're kind of getting yourself together. So depending on where you are in life, you may not have gotten a lot of play, or you're just, you're trying to navigate and reach success first. But I'm going to tell you this. When you reach that plateau of success, then, when you are at certain plateaus, or you're about to reach certain plateaus, or you have gotten to a certain point of your life, that is not the time not to have any discipline. And I want you to read between the lines when I say that. When you are dealing with yourself and you have lots of money, and you're dealing with lots of money, and you are capable of making lots of money, just because you have money and you have reached certain plateaus in life, that is not the time to be dibbling and dabbling in certain things. You got to be real careful, because one allegation will take it away. If you can learn anything from this is more of a teaching moment than anything. Have some discipline. We've seen way too many examples this year alone of guys who just don't have no discipline. Now, granted, everybody's going to say, yes, it was consensual. Yes, it was, things of that nature. But just because it's legal, that doesn't mean it's right. And that doesn't mean, you're supposed to do it. It's legal for me to eat a peanut butter sandwich in the sewer, but that don't mean I'm finna go out there and do it. So the thing is, you've seen Anthony Edwards with all of these allegations on him and all of the baby mama drama that he's having. Everybody's yelling on the court while he's at the ball game, pay your child support. Now you're seeing Shannon Sharpe. Have some discipline, gentlemen. Have some discipline. I understand you making $100 million and you got this big old contract and you just can't wait to dibble and dabble in some things. That's fine. Be disciplined. Because guess what? It can cost you a lot of mistakes not thinking with your brain. It can cost you. You might think you're getting over, but you're not. And another thing, be careful when you're laughing at other people when they're getting in trouble. Remember all of the jokes about certain moguls? Them jokes ain't so funny no more now, is it? When you see somebody else getting in trouble, don't laugh at them. Learn from it. Have some discipline. When you're dealing with a lot of money, you're a target automatically. They're going to put what you make in the paper, on the internet, all on social media. You're already a target. Exercise some discipline, some discernment, some abstinence, if you will. You ain't get, hey, look, I'm gonna just be real. I'm gonna just make an analogy. Just because it look good, don't mean it's good. Just because it's good to you, that doesn't mean it's good for you. Have some discipline, gentlemen, because all of that money can be taken away from you just like that. Not just that, along with your freedom. You seen Deshaun Watson, he nearly lost his freedom. And he's about to lose a lot of money depending on how some of these civil suits go. You see Anthony Edwards gonna be paying out child support and everything for the rest of his life if he doesn't end up settling again. Now Shannon Sharpe, have some discipline, gentlemen. Discipline. As far as the allegations are concerned, we have to wait till more comes out, because them tapes sound very, very gory and they sound very, very creepy. It make you want to cringe, just being honest with you. And it's just like you're trying to keep it clean, but at the same time, you have to go listen to the tapes. But gentlemen, I know we are in the business to where we blame everybody else. Well, he was a target. He's this. You know you're a target already. You're a target. You know this already. When you sign your name on that dotted line, no matter if it's for $1 million, 500,000, or you sign it for mega bucks, you know you're a target. Practice some discipline. Focus on your craft. Focus on your next goal. Focus on a little bit of everything. As far as what PSP was saying, as far as, his mother protected him, sometimes even when you're that young, you have to be protected from yourself. Sometimes you have to be protected from yourself, because guess what? The trappings of success are there. The trappings of success are there. And you have to be careful with it. So I don't blame Jada Daniels' mom for how protective she is of him. My parents were the same way, although I was 24 years old. Just being real. Granted, I didn't have the access that Jada Daniels and these guys have, but they used to tell me all the time, you don't need to spend all your money on video games and sneakers all the time. Put some away for a rainy day. You got to listen. Be disciplined and surround yourself with people who you know have your best interests at heart. Just because you got a lot of money, that doesn't mean it's time to go after all the trappings when you didn't have it. Because the thing is, staying away from that same stuff is what got you the success in the first place. Denying yourself of that is what got you there in the first place. You not having all of these trappings is what got you there in the first place. So when you get there, you have to be careful. That is the message that I was saying. Have some discipline and think with your brain. There's plenty of time for all the other stuff, but you can cost yourself a lot. Not just money, your reputation. Your reputation costs more than any amount of money can give you.
Not to mention your family name.
Yes, because the thing is, once they ruin your name, that money is gone. You can't sign no contract. You can't do anything. You got to be real careful, gentlemen. You have to practice discipline. And guess what? Just because you got a lot of money, just because you're able to do stuff, doesn't mean you should. Remember, the lack of those things that allowed you to concentrate on the things that you have is what got you there in the first place. Don't forget that. Just because you get some money, now is not the time to come let the worst come out of you. Remember, money doesn't change you. It makes you more of what you are. You got to keep that in mind when you go out here. Now is not the time to go out here and just do everything up under the sun. I'm going to do everything I couldn't do when I didn't have money. Yeah, and that's a huge mistake. That's a huge mistake.
Monumental mistake.
Yes. If you're gonna go out here and gamble because you didn't have, I'm gonna go out here and gamble every day because I ain't have money to gamble. You're gonna end up broke. I'm gonna go out here and shop every day because I ain't had no money to shop at one point. You're gonna end up being broke. I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna indulge in sybaritic excess every time I get a chance, you're going to end up losing your freedom and you're going to end up being broke. And now your name is tarnished. Because now, whatever deal that Shannon may have had on the table, that's pretty much wiped away for right now. Because these big sponsorships ain't trying to back nobody who's involved in certain allegations. Let's just be keeping a buck about it. Let's just keep it a buck. So, young men, learn from this. I understand people are going to say, well, it's a shakedown. Yeah, probably. But the thing is, if you had practiced discernment in the first place, discernment, presence of mind, and discipline in the first place, would you have even gotten to this point? Would you have even gotten to this point? So the thing is, if you, without your discipline, you're not where you are. So you have to practice even more. It's kind of like when you get in a relationship. Just because you get in a relationship, that don't mean you stop taking care of yourself. That means you do even more because it's so easy to slack off. Practice discernment, young men and old men and older men, especially around my age. You know better to be doing out there doing all this crap. Come on. You're supposed to be the example to these younger men. How you going to tell young men what to do and you out here with young women fresh out the Civic Center? They fresh out of high school. What are you doing? What do you get? What do you gain from that? Like I said, that's just because it's legal, that doesn't mean it's right. Like I said, it's legal for me to go out here and eat a peanut butter sandwich in the sewer. That doesn't mean I'm finna do it. That doesn't mean I need to do it. Practice discernment, ladies and gentlemen. Be smart. You have no business out here with young women fresh out a year removed from high school. You have no business doing that. No business. No business. Be the example. And the thing is, people are going to criticize Shannon Sharpe because he be the main one criticizing the young men. And that's the knock on us old men right now. How you going to criticize us when y'all just as messed up? That's another example of that. That's how come the younger generation don't want to listen to us because of stuff just like that. Be disciplined, people. Be disciplined and be smart about it. You ain't got no business out there with this young lady right there and you over there all on the internet talking about it. And it's time to take a step back. And the same thing that you preach, talking about these young men, they want to be babied. In the great words of the late, great Barry White, practice what you preach. And that is my lesson for the day.
BRF?
Man, Champ pretty much hit every point he made on the head. I mean, you look at somebody in Shannon Sharpe's position with his stature and what he has, whether it's ESPN or whether it's Shay Media, you got to look at the fact that this man had $100 million deal lined up for Shay Media to really kind of branch out and really taking the levels that it starting to go, but really hadn't seen yet. And he's starting to really get it there because of his notoriety. His cachet is really, Shannon Sharpe's been doing the damn thing really on TV over the past like months, year or so. He's been doing it. And it's just unfortunate that he let himself get caught up in a situation like this where this could happen. He's got to be more responsible. He's got to be better, especially him being in his mid-50s. He's got to understand. He should have listened to Monique. I mean, all jokes aside, he should have seriously took Monique's words into consideration, and he really should have listened to what she had to say. She was not joking, because look at the position that he's in, and he got nobody to blame but himself. He can throw out consensual and all this other stuff. At the end of the day, you got to know you. You got to know the position that you're in. You got to know what you can and what you can't do as far as putting yourself in certain situations. He should have known better. So there's really nobody really to blame for this whole situation but Shannon Sharpe. He's got to understand that you're jeopardizing your it's not, it ain't even the money. That's on it. I feel like that's the least of it. There's reputation on the line. There's family on the line. It's his family and how they look at him. It's just it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but he's really got nobody to blame but himself. And I get, we got, evidence has got to come out. We don't know the whole story. I mean, he's released some text messages of stuff that she said, and of course, there's the audio that's come out of him saying some of the stuff he said. But still, at the end of the day, we don't know everything, so we don't want to speculate too much. But we know about responsibility, and we know about accountability where it should have been taken. If he had took this, a lot of this really could have been avoided. So, but he didn't. So now he's facing the consequences here, whether he's guilty or whether he's not. I mean, his rep's pretty much tarnished, and especially with the past stuff that's come out when he was with Fox Sports. I mean,
Yeah,
regardless
he
of
was.
whether he's
Yeah, he was accused. He was accused of choking a female assistant, and then it was reported by Front Office Sports that he settled for $100,000. Keep in mind, this is not the first time Shannon Sharpe has been accused of SA.
exactly, and as that old saying goes, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah,
So I mean, say what you want. If it's happened before, or if there's rumblings that it's happened before, I mean, I'm just saying, we're not trying to throw allegate. We're not trying to accuse anybody of anything. But it's like that saying goes: where there's smoke, there's fire. So I mean, there's got to be something. You gotta know. You gotta understand. And he's done a really poor job of that. I understand. You know what I'm saying? Shannon Sharp still in amazing shape to be 55, 56 years old. He's still in amazing shape. I mean, we're not gonna knock this man for that. But still, at the end of the day, you gotta do better. You gotta do better. Now, as far as the Jaden Daniels situation, I don't blame his mama for wanting to protect him. I don't blame her. I mean, she sees this social media society, dominated society that we're living in. She sees these young guys going out and making these great mistakes that cost them millions of dollars, sometimes jail time. You got to I don't blame her at all for unprotecting him. I get the whole, some people are coming out, well, eventually you got to be able to let him live his life. You got to let him live his life. She knows where he's at right now. It's very important that he kind of stays on track, keep him, stay on the course, because that big money coming, that that second contract is coming. That's basically going to set him up, set family up the rest of their lives. You don't want She don't want him to jeopardize that. I don't blame her for that. Eventually, he's going to get to live his life, and basically, when he gets that second contract, I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to get to live his life a little bit. But I don't blame her for, until he gets to that point. Watch your steps. Kind of protect yourself, because he's at a prime point in his life where he could really be taken advantage of. And it's not just and we keep talking about the women. We got to understand, it's not just the women. It's the friends it can be the friends you keep. It could be the company you keep. It could be the people that you hire in your circle. It's not just about women. It's just people around him in general that could take advantage of him. When his mama's not looking. I mean, you just never know. So I get where she's coming from. She kind of wants him to, to really take a step back, analyze things, take it a day at a time, but be grateful for where you're at, and just know that it can all go like that. It can all disappear with one bad decision, one wrong move. So do I get the standpoint and, live his life a little bit? I can get it. But at the same time, hey, that's your mom. And I don't think she means ill will towards anything. I don't think it's bad intentions on her part. That's her. At the end of the day, that's still her being a mom. So she has every right to really want to continue to still guide him, into ultimately, once he gets to that point to where he can kind of, just once he has that, being able to step out and really do some things. She just want him to. She just wants him to know that any decision you make from here on out could affect you the rest of your life. So from that standpoint, I really don't blame her. I don't blame her on that. And Jaded, but at the same time, though, I look at Jaden Daniels. He strikes me as being a young man that's got a really good head on his shoulders. That understand. I feel like he understands the disciplinary side of things, understanding how to act, how to talk, how to react in certain situations. He doesn't strike me as a guy that's really just going to go out there and just really just make dumb choices. He don't strike me as that. But it's good to know that his mom is guiding him as good as she can while she still can, to where ultimately he'll be at that point where he can do his own thing, but you're not worrying about him making bad decisions. So I really don't blame his mom on that. But going back to the Shannon Sharpe situation real quick before we move on, it's like I brought it up at the beginning. It's just unfortunate that this had to come out at this point in time in Shannon Sharpe's life, where it really feels like he's about to take this next giant leap as far as superstardom, as far as just being at the top of his game. But he's really got nobody to blame for this but himself. You got to make better decisions. Like Champ said, it's about that long D word. It's about discipline. It's about discipline. You got to be smart. You got to be active in making the best choices for yourself. It doesn't really matter your age. And Shannon Sharpe, being in his mid-50s, should really know better. So hopefully, regardless of the end game of this, he understands what he did wrong and continue to live his life and move forward. But no, not to put himself in crazy, stupid situations like this, to where all it takes is he did this, and look where we're at. We're talking about it right now.
Well, Shannon Sharpe always often said, a wise person learns from someone else's mistakes. A fool learns from their own. And look, again, we don't know whether these accusations are true or not. However, it is pretty embarrassing and humiliating that he put himself in this type of predicament. So hopefully he has his day in court. We'll see how it addresses. But I will say this, Champ, because you mentioned people being disciplined. Be careful. Whatever's done in the dark will always come into light. And when that moment happens, how are you going to handle it? So you really got to be very careful with what you do. Look, again, we got, like I said before, we got to wait before all the stuff comes out. But look, certainly all of us, we're not in the same. Obviously, we're not in Shannon Sharpe's level as far as financially and stuff. But if we were, and we would have not only the discipline, we would need to have at least the wherewithal and the vigilance to say, listen, we're on the verge of making all this amount of money, setting not only ourselves, but our family and friends for life.
Yeah.
We've come this far. And we want to sabotage all that? Nah. So I really hope it's a lesson not just for young men, but people in general. Now, if these accusations are false, then I think Shannon Sharpe should take the matter, take it into legal action, accuse the accuser and Tony Busby of extortion, defamation, if these accusations are false. But I will say this, people, just be careful. Be careful with what you do, because you never know what could happen. As I always tell you, Champ, in the words of my GOAT, Stone Cold Steve Austin,
don't trust anybody.
And I'm sorry, because when you are a certain figure, like a Shannon Sharpe, for instance, it's not easy to trust people. And look, even though I'm certainly no Shannon Sharpe or something like that, but look, I got to be vigilant. I got to be very careful at all times with what I say or do, because I don't know if whatever I say or do, it's going to be held against me. And I worked this far to get to this point, and I would hate for one thing to tarnish or sabotage everything that I've accomplished and to start back from scratch. That's something I don't want to do.
No. The downfall of Undisputed, the TV show, has to be studied. The downfall of that television show has to be studied.
You know, it's crazy, champ, because
every last one of them. Yeah.
Joy Taylor, Skip Bayless, now Shannon Sharpe. I'm like, at some point, do we have to do a documentary on this?
It has to be studied. I mean, the thing is, you go from being 3 perennial sports personalities on the most hottest show in the world. Man, look, Undisputed, when I was still working in the warehousing industry, everybody was talking about Undisputed. The hottest show ever. And all of a sudden, Shannon leaves the show after a lot of blow-ups with him and Skip Bayless. He leaves the show. The show goes downhill in a hurry. Then we started hearing rumblings about Skip Bayless, the whole $1 million situation, about him essaying makeup artists, about making kind of bad remarks about her and her body and stuff like that. Then in that same lawsuit, we hear about Joy Taylor and some of the accusations that she had against her with the executive, with Emmanuel Acho. Then we move almost it happened almost a year, almost 8 months to the day. Now we're hearing about Shannon Sharpe once again. And like I said, this is the first one that even with Fox, that wasn't the first one. Remember, he had a lawsuit against him
back in 2010 on NFL on CBS.
CBS, and many people are credit that as that's the reason why he doesn't work at CBS anymore. So that's gonna be it's tough. That the downfall of that show and this individual has to be studied. Granted, they are still on top as far as certain things, as far as their podcast and their name still got some juice to it. But as far as their reputation and things of that nature, it has really gotten ugly. It's gotten ugly. And
but that also tells you, champ, about Fox Sports, and it also tells you about the business and production. Regardless of the accusations, regardless of the sins, as long as you're talented enough and produce, hey, we can still give you opportunities as long as you don't fuck it up. And I think with Shannon, look, he's still doing the nightcap thing, even though he's stepping down from ESPN. He's still going to do his nightcap thing. He's still going to do his Club Shay Shay thing. I just hope he learned a valuable lesson in this. Again, we are not saying that Shannon Sharpe is innocent or guilty. But the fact that we hear that someone his age is with someone 19 or 20 years old, again, nothing illegal. But at the same time, do I like it? No, I don't. Have I heard stuff about this before? Yes. That doesn't mean I have to like it. However, I just hope for Shannon Sharpe's case, he learned something from this. And the reason why I bring up Jaden Daniels' mother is because she has gotten a lot of flack and criticism. I understand at some point in time, she's going to have to let her son live his life because, after all, Jaden Daniels is 24 years old. So he is a grown man. However, I can understand from a mother's standpoint why she wants her son to be careful, not just because of him, but because of the people that you're going to meet. And again, Jaden Daniels' mother has been consistent because she was asked, what's the one concern that she has about Jaden? And she said it. And she was real blunt about it. Them girls. Because she's worried about some of them girls trying to get into Jaden Daniels' pockets. And basically she said, thank God he got a mama like me because it ain't happening. So I can't blame her for taking that position. My mom is that way. I know your mom is that way, champ. Same thing with you, BRF. Thank God we have mothers like that who can tell us what we need to know, not what we want to hear, because they're looking out for us. They want what's best for us. And I think for Shannon Sharpe and for his friends moving forward, they should tell him what's best for him. Again, we got to wait and see how all this plays out. We don't want to say someone is innocent or guilty. Because there have been a lot of things. You know, D.L. Hughley has said some things about Shannon Sharpe. You've heard Mariah Rose, for those who may not know, who is the daughter of former NBA player Jalen Rose. She calls Shannon Sharpe a weirdo because of him in his age being around with a woman her age. So again, we don't really know. And again, Tony Busby, we got to wait and see, because Tony Busby, even though this is the same attorney that went after Deshaun Watson, it didn't work out for him when he went after Jay-Z.
No.
So we got to wait and see how this plays out. Hopefully, we'll find out.